Welcome to the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Bondage, presented by the Frog Brothers Podcast.
Welcome to James Bondage. My name's Justin.
I'm Alec, don't you know it?
No, I'm Nick.
He's a bloody cunt.
Hey, it's the Frog Brothers Podcast. This is our best British accent. We're loyal dippers.
If you're from the UK, we're sorry because we're fucking it up.
You want some fish and chips, eh?
Fish and chips.
So is that,
Want some tartar sauce?
So does that Bond theme not get demonetized, or
Oh, I'm sure it
is
does.
it different enough? Or
It might. I mean, it can. Some of the
does that
algorithms
work?
can detect the notes, and some of them just go based on the sound waves. The sound waves are obviously different because it's a different recording, so it won't get caught from that,
Right.
unless it goes by melody. Then it might.
Yeah, so the good question is, we need subscriber growth before we worry about that.
Yeah.
What
So
you're saying.
subscribe to us. Give me a reason to care.
Yeah, give us a reason to come up with our own theme music that Alec isn't just dicking around with, which Alec did make that masterpiece.
Yeah. I tried to go a little new wave with it, but it came out a little cheesier than I thought just because of the horn sounds I was trying to do, but it sounds like bad like keyboard sounds, and I like that.
It
so.
seems like something that would have been a great James Bond Jr. like cartoon show like theme. Kind of has those vibes just from that era.
James Bond Jr.
So tonight we're talking The Living Daylights from 1987. So this motherfucking movie's 35 years old.
1987, is it?
It's the 15th James Bond movie, and it's the
debut of Timothy Dalton.
of one of two movies that Timothy Dalton played James Bondage in.
The DVD menu music was the first thing I noticed, and how badass it was. I haven't watched
Was
this
that
one before.
Was that the Bond theme remix?
It
I
wasn't
can't
exactly
remember
the
what-
Bond theme or anything, but it was drum machines and also score sounding shit, so it was kind of like just the score, but one of the score bits, I couldn't tell you.
So Roger Moore's old ass finally retired.
Yep. And this is 1987, the year of our Lord, The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, it was the last based on any sort of Ian Fleming story until Casino Royale came out again.
That's what I read too, is it was the last one based on a short story.
Yeah.
In that.
So only like the
It's
first.
the last one with a Fleming title for sure.
They said only the first third or so of the plot of this movie is based on the short story.
The short story is just the scene in Berlin where he's trying to take out that sniper that ends up being that woman. That's basically the entirety of the short story.
Fair enough.
Everything else expands upon it.
It's a pretty interesting Bond flick. I don't know if I'd seen this one before, or if I'd only seen part of it or whatever, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with it.
Well, I told Alec this is probably my top 3 Bond films.
Yeah.
That theme song fucking slaps in that intro. Like some of the Bond intros, I don't give a fuck about. Like visually, I'm just kind of like, all right, get to the thing. Because some of them are just like whatever.
Which one? Which part?
The intro while the music's playing when they're showing women,
when
credits.
you get the
women do
theme song.
The
artsy
title
shit. Yes.
sequence? Okay. You like the Aha song then?
Well, I like the Alha song, but I also like the visuals for the title
Yeah.
sequence there. Yeah, it was great.
How long had it been since Roger Moore had retired before this came out?
2 years.
Only 2
They were
years.
still
85 was what, View to Kill?
they were still on the 2-year intervals for the movies for a long time.
So 87, 89, and then we had to wait for Goldeneye, huh?
95.
6
yeah.
years, yeah.
So Timothy Dalton decided not to return in 94 when they went into production. And Pierce Brosnan originally was offered the role for this,
Sam Neill
'Cause-
auditioned too, I heard.
but Brosnan had it.
Yeah.
But then, because Remington Steele had been canceled, but the buzz of him being Bond, the producers of Remington Steele decided to do another season. And so he was locked into that contract and he couldn't do Bond.
That's fucked up.
So he was Bond. He was going to be in this movie.
Okay, so he eventually got his turn.
When
That's
Dalton
cool.
dropped out. He would have been really young, too. And then Dalton was originally in consideration to replace Connery.
Oh,
So
okay.
then Dalton would have been really young back then too, instead of Roger Moore or whatever.
Yeah.
I think my mom was not a big fan of Dalton in the Bond movies, and I think that was kind of influenced the fact that I hadn't seen these.
Well, that's kind of the feeling at the time. Now it's regarded a lot better. It was a little ahead of its time, more like, the Craig films kind of went in a more serious direction.
Yeah.
A little more
Yeah, some of the
realistic.
campiness, went away, and I could see that because this has some campy moments for sure, but you kind of get that James Bond vibe. It feels like a James Bond movie, regardless, in this one.
And then Dalton read all the Fleming novels to prepare for it, and he wanted to make it more like the books. Well, the books are more serious and not all silly like some of the Bond films have been.
Mm-hmm. I liked...
Brought back Bond smoking and drinking.
Well, that's the thing is some of these movies, they don't have... Like, they have sequences that are, can be boring sometimes, let's just say.
Well, it's a
And-
product of the time, too. Pacing is definitely a lot different now than it was back then.
But I'm saying, when I'm watching this one, the opening thing where... the first 30 seconds, as soon as that guy's like, all right, 00 agents, you gotta do this thing. You're like, all right, what? This is a little weird. I'm trying to figure out and understand what's happening here. I can't see faces. I want to understand. And then it gets real interesting real quick after 30 seconds.
Yeah, you jump right into a nice action sequence. It really
And
opens
that
the
skydiving
picture up
scene,
nice.
I liked. I liked the camera angle of seeing the island down there below it.
The
or
3
the
parachute
land
to
anyway.
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar.
It's a training mission, right? And I like how they explain everything. So
And then it's not a training mission. It is, but it isn't.
It's infiltrated
Because,
by
yeah.
those damn Ruskies.
And that's pretty interesting stuff. I like that. That's what made it interesting. I was like, all right, cool. Kind of reminded me of how the opening of Dark Knight is very interesting, or Point Break.
Well, this,
yeah,
this feels more like a traditional Cold War
film
storyline.
Yeah,
He's not dealing with some crazy ass like Goldfinger or something that's actually
it very
Russian
very
political
much fits
stuff.
the '80s, the post Berlin Wall era, kind of right in here where you're kind of getting to that stuff. Feels good. I did love the fucking car sequence where he jumps the car off the cliff and then is able to escape with the parachute.
I guess Dalton did a lot of stunts for that
His
part
own
too.
stunts?
Yeah, I mean some of it you can see the green screen or whatever, the back
Yeah.
or the
Oh, yeah. I
rear
remember.
projection or whatever it is, but a lot of that stuff he actually did, I guess.
I love the music video intro though. The opening credit, once it cuts out of that scene into the music video, you've already talked about it a little bit, but it just feels like a music video from MTV, but just kind of thrown into this Bond stuff.
I
It
love the
feels good.
visuals, and I
this
love
is-
AHA anyway. So
this is about that time, isn't it? When an
Yeah.
MTV started the whole music video
85
thing.
or 84,
So yeah,
85, I think 86. I don't know. One of those 3 years.
Well, yeah, because they did Duran Duran the movie before this, so
And MTV is mentioned in Lost Boys, which came out in 87.
No
He's gotta watch his
TV, no
MTV.
MTV. Yeah, exactly.
So it had to have been around at least prior to 6 months of them
So there's-
shooting that. So
there's probably some influence there.
The interesting thing about this and the pacing, when you talk about the modern Bond films and you look at this, with the orchestra, it's very the slow pacing, right? It feels like you're actually going to get some development here.
I love it when he crashes onto that boat and he just lays down on the fucking shit and he's like, I'm going to use the phone now or whatever. I'm going to do some shit. And he just lays down you want to fuck me, don't you? Basically.
Yeah, and she offers him a drink.
His
You fucking
colleague
love
was
it.
just murdered. There's Russians killing people.
But he's still fucking.
I'll add an hour to fuck.
He's still a pussy hound at the end of the day.
Basically.
I get it. I understand, sir.
But yeah, the music is definitely really good in this. John Barry's final Bond film composing. And this and the movie before it, I think, are two of the greatest scores in the Bond series. And, also the music by Duran Duran and then AHA for this one. And the 2 songs from The Pretenders.
Nice.
Great soundtrack.
I like all the drum machines with the orchestral stuff. And
Yeah,
a little
that
bit of
really
synth
aged
work.
well for me. It just hits those nostalgic feels, right, for some of that stuff.
And they use that Pretender song. The guy, the assassin's walking around with his headphones on, listening to that song over and over.
Mm-hmm.
I can wait forever.
Not that one.
Yeah. Well, then you immediately see Bond checking out this blonde on the cello, right? And he really is like, "Ooh, yeah."
I like the kitchen fight sequence that developed into the was that an embassy?
Safe house.
Safe house, just like that attack there with the explosions. That was a pretty cool sequence
The
too.
explosive milk bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
mention of the explosive teddy bear was interesting. when they're going through the Russian agents for him to identify. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, he's showing them the different female assassins.
Yeah, this one was a child imposter and uses explosive teddy bears to kill people.
You see the one that strangled people with her thighs?
Hell yeah, I'm here for that.
A lot like
It's a way to go.
what's her name in Goldeneye?
Xenia.
Was that her name?
Famke Janssen. What?
Was her name actually in there, or did you see?
What?
Were they
Jean Grey?
alluding to her?
They didn't have
earlier on?
no.
Okay, I was going to
I
say.
mean, they might have gotten the idea in Goldeneye from
That'd
And
be
of
some
course,
great
the guy from Goldeneye.
Yeah.
Show me the rose. Please, not here.
Yeah, he's technically the main villain in this, I guess.
Yeah. It's odd, but yeah.
Yeah, they've done that before because someone who played Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever was Bond's ally, and You Only Live Twice.
Yeah, I noticed that immediately. I was like, wait a second, he's the bad guy? And then I, had to, like, take a minute and pause it and, like, read up, and I'm like, okay, so he comes back in
Joe
the
Don Baker.
Pierce Brosnan, first 2 Brosnan flicks as a character, and he's the CIA.
Kind of Felix's replacement after he gets...
Q is pretty fun as always.
Yeah.
I like him in Goldeneye more, but he still holds up.
He's got
this wasn't my favorite Q scene. Q knocks it out of the park, but it's very limited compared to sometimes what you get.
Q's got a really big role in the next film with Dalton.
Okay.
He actually goes out in the field with him and stuff.
Oh, nice. The rifle in the cello case is Terminator 2 / El Mariachi Desperado vibes.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, and I love how Bond fails to execute on the
All
plan.
of which came after this, obviously.
Yeah. Bond fails to kill her because he shoots her gun.
Well, she has a gun out of her hand, yeah.
Yeah.
You could tell she wasn't a professional.
Yeah, he knew what was up.
And he wanted to bang her.
I like the snow driving through the mountains and shit, and he's like flipping through jazz music, and she's like, "You have the police banner." And he's like, "Don't worry about it. Just like, why don't you suck my dick while you're
like the heads-up display on the...
Right.
He's kind of an asshole, though, because he knows this lady's got a girlfriend, and he's just fucking going after it. And it doesn't, or boyfriend, yeah, whatever.
Care.
He's just a fucking pussy hound. Like, full on, like, fuck you. Like, that could be your friend's wife, and he's just going to bang her.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to take you to the carnival and try to finger bang you on the Ferris wheel.
Exactly. And he does.
Yeah.
Eventually.
You want another ride?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone there is laughing at him. Why do they always laugh at me when I say that?
I like the Saunders gets killed and he pops the balloon in rage.
Yeah. Some silly
He
shit.
pulls
in
that
there.
gun out, and there's a little kid there.
Yeah. That's when I stopped taking notes. I just laid there and watched the rest of it kind of in a daze.
Got enthralled. Mm-hmm. I didn't rewatch it either. I've seen this movie a million times.
Moneypenny really has the brief appearance in here. I think
that's the negative part of the Dalton films is the Moneypenny for these 2 films. I think she was definitely the weakest.
Well, it wasn't even weak. They just
Moneypenny.
didn't have her in there enough. I mean, usually you get that flirtation in there, and you just didn't feel like that. You feel in it in other Bond films, right? It was just kind of like, yeah, they did it to just check the box. They
It
didn't
seems
do
like
it
she's
to
just
make it great.
She's just saying the lines and flirty and.
Yeah, same thing even with Q's. Like, it's like they're there. The acting's not bad. They just
Ghetto
don't do
Blaster.
anything that interesting. The Ghetto Blaster. It's for something we're developing for the Americans, and you're like, whew.
They call it the Ghetto Blaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cringeworthy.
Which is actually what they were called, but this one actually shoots bullets.
Yeah, exactly. I get it. You waka, waka, waka.
Waka, waka, waka.
Flocka, flocka, flocka.
I love the snow sledding sequence. That's a blast.
Yeah.
After the car blows up.
I saw the violin case or the cello case, was on display somewhere. Like I saw a picture of it recently.
Oh, yeah.
My phone must have recognized that I was looking up Living Daylights because it.
Oh, showed you the museum that was on display. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that was pretty cool. I mean, if you think about it, a cello case would be pretty big there. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have like the 2 cello cases. She's carrying the white cello case. That's the one with the sniper rifle in it. And then it's back to a traditional case. And then we find out that that's like a very expensive case that.
The cello?
The cello is a very expensive cello that's been purchased.
Stradivarius.
Mm-hmm.
The Lady Rose. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a actual Lady Rose, but a Stradivarius.
Fancy.
It's a real deal. Yeah.
Well, and then we start seeing that there's some bullshit going on here amongst the Russians themselves. Like, right, what the fuck's going on? Because they go to get that $30 million return. He's like, no. He's not allowed to spend my money. The serial killer is what I would call him, even though he's basically like your main henchman with the earphones in. He's pretty good.
Oh, the ripped German dude?
Yeah, he very much gives me
German?
like...
when he gets out of the pool.
Gives me Blade Runner vibes, his performance and the way he like looks and carries himself.
He gives me Die Hard villain vibes. Henchman,
Okay.
Die Hard henchman.
Yeah, I could see that too.
He reminds me of the henchman in Tomorrow Never Dies.
You won't
also.
shoot me. You're a policeman. Policemen have rules. Yeah, that's what my Sarge keeps telling me.
I love how he's strangling people with the headphones. I'm like, I feel like that's something that they would have spoofed in Austin Powers, but they didn't. Like that style of killing. You know, they do the random task, but
They had
not the whole thing.
The Lucky Charms guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit there.
Yeah. No, this is fun. It holds up pretty good. I love the Civil War and the war reenactments by, what's his name? Is that,
His name was... I mean, the character's name?
yeah.
Bill Jeff.
Sounds about right.
Can't think of it. Brad Whitaker.
I think that's right.
I'm
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, Brad Whitaker.
Yeah, so I love his place, and that's so cool that he's got it all set up there, and then, you know, he gets in trouble, and then later on when Bond comes in there to get the revenge.
Booger came in
It's
for
a
revenge.
fun sequence. Yeah. Booger's revenge. Love how they're shooting up that whole fucking building, though, and that table, and he's like, you're, you know, shooting a machine gun at him, and he's got a fucking pistol.
He skipped over Bond teaming up with Al Qaeda.
Oh, fuck, yeah, I did, didn't I? That was a whole fucking thing.
Yeah, Osama Bin Laden and James Bond hang out and they have a beer.
And, like, it feels like none of these people are authentically
being racist.
Afghanistani.
The Mujahideen became Al Qaeda
Yeah.
and had Bin Laden in it.
Yeah, no, that's legit truth.
It's a real group. I think they were in, like I told him, Rambo 2 or 3 too.
And they're
Which
not...
one?
The thing is, in this movie, they're not...
Aren't they also the people that stop the sacred people that stopped the mummy from rising in 1999's The Mummy?
Maybe.
Probably.
You know what I'm talking about? Ode Ferrer, what's that guy's name? Oder Ferrer? What fucking goddamn? He plays Carlos in the Resident Evil movies. Can't remember his name. But he plays the guy who talks like this with the beard and he dresses it all black. In The Mummy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't watch those.
The first Mummy is fucking great. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. Now the other ones, I don't care. You can say what you want about
I probably watched that when it first came out. I don't remember if I saw it at the theater though.
That first one is fucking a great.
I remember everybody loving it.
Oh, yeah, I skipped a bunch. So, you know, we got to see Bond get fucking drugged and tricked. And then she's immediately regretful of it. How do you feel about that portrayal of Afghanistan at the time? Do you feel like it was...
Looked good. Yeah.
They don't necessarily portray them up as... I don't feel like they make them look terrible, but at the same time, it hasn't aged very well. And you're like, are any of those people, like, authentically Afghanistani? Like, it doesn't feel like...
Oh, you mean the actors chosen?
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things that, you know, where, like, in the United States film industry, they used to use
Well, they didn't.
French people to play Native Americans.
They didn't paint their faces brown, so I guess that's something.
Yeah, it didn't seem far off.
We
from
also
it, though.
watched Short Circuit while we were out of town.
Oh yeah. That
Johnny Five.
Jesus Christ.
Alec didn't think he was in the first one. I was like, oh yeah,
I couldn't remember.
he's in both of them.
that whole airplane sequence is pretty intense. Where they're gonna steal that, but also the drugs in there too. Like, yeah, we're making the drugs, and you're like, oh, poppy for heroin.
Remember when the girl didn't see that mountain coming up?
Yeah, she wasn't paying attention to.
Bond points it out, and she's like, ah.
They go right above it, and you're like, huh? I feel like you guys watched Top Gun before you did.
Yeah, the part of them hanging out of the back of the cargo net was
See, it
pretty
was
good.
reminding me of the Indiana Jones sequence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like
Jump
that, too.
out of the plane into the sledding.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
She says, what is her line that she says that's really ridiculous when they're in the plane?
and
In Indiana
Temple
Jones.
of Doom.
Yeah, I think it's Temple of Doom. Yeah.
I don't remember.
She says something, you know what I'm talking about? Oh yeah. We're crashing!
There's some fucking terrible sound design on the airplane sequence, like with some of the stuff going on. Like the rest of the movie, I didn't really notice it, but there's a couple of moments in there where I'm watching. Yeah. Oh. And when they're in the airplane, the back of the airplane, when the hangar's open and stuff, there's some just stuff in there. And you're like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Must have been too baked to notice.
Probably. And it's just in that one spot of the movie. The rest of it was pretty good, but that one sequence, I was like, why the fuck? I was like, that's distracting. It's terrible.
What about
the netting fight scene was pretty interesting.
Speaking of Indiana Jones, John Rhys Davies or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah,
Was he in just the first one, Temple of Doom, or Raiders of the Lost Ark? Was that the one he's in?
Yeah, he's the friend, right?
Yeah.
Gets the bomb turned off with 2 seconds to spare. I was writing down the timing they're showing. You know, we're at 1:39.
007 seconds.
And then we're down to 1 minute. Then they bomb that fucking bridge and the Russians are stopped.
And then 9/11 happened.
Then the fucking airplane
because
runs
Bond
out
saved those people.
I mean,
all those people that Bond saved going up that bridge were on the planes.
James Bond did 9/11.
Basically. I mean, that's what I'm getting out of this movie right now.
I don't think they were that old, though.
You should Photoshop...
I should not Photoshop any of that.
Timothy Dalton as Bond going, fuck, what did I do?
As a pilot?
No.
I should have let them die with the Russians.
There's pictures of all the different terrorists. Use a different Bond picture for each one.
Oh, fuck. That's twisted.
So Timothy Dalton would be, clearly the Osama of this because, he's most involved.
Well, Pushkin and crew arrive.
Pierce Brosnan was on Flight 93.
Mm-hmm. Then everyone goes to see the cello performances. She's on tour.
All of Mashahadeen show up.
And then,
we had trouble at the airport.
Like they're making that joke, and you're like, oh, man.
I had a lot of trouble now.
Yeah, you've caused a lot of trouble. I've taken my fucking shoes off a lot of times at the airport for this shit.
Can't even bring shampoo.
You can. It's got to be 4 ounces or less.
Oh. Thanks, Timothy Dalton.
You can't blow up a plane with less than 4 ounces.
I didn't make the fucking rules here, Nick. This is just what
you can't say. Blow up a plane on YouTube.
Hey, you can. We're not on an airport. I said you can't blow.
Well, like that guy that got in trouble at his job for saying he's going to blow up the bathroom when he just meant he's going to fucking have like diarrhea or a power shit. Like you got to take it in context, people, right? Like that man had no bad intentions in the world, and then he's in trouble because he says he's going to blow up the bathroom. No,
in Minecraft.
Yeah, he's going to explode this bathroom
in Minecraft.
Exactly.
Could you take down a plane with 4 ounces of
shampoo
in Minecraft?
Only in Minecraft. Yeah. If you're in Minecraft, you can.
That'd be 4 ounces of something you can do.
And then Bond bangs her out in the dressing room at the end. She's like, I didn't think you were here for it. And he's like, bitch, I was masturbating in your hotel room.
But I only do anal.
Oh, yeah, Bond kills the villain with a key ring finder.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The wolf whistle.
Yeah, like out of all the movies, that felt like a cheap cop-out for Q's like stuff. I'm like, really? You're going to use a fucking keychain? What is that, a Tamagotchi pet that fucking dies and explodes?
That was probably a new invention.
That's what it felt like.
Nice. There's a whole little booklet in here with pictures of this handsome man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Dalton.
I did like Dalton as Bond. Kind of.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, man, I wish he kind of did more. I think I like him for sure better than Connery.
Wait till you see the next one.
Connery's in some good movies, but he's like my least favorite Bond, to be honest.
I mean, it makes sense.
He beats women, is that why?
No, not even that. Just like, I just don't think he's...
He just carries the character a little differently.
Well, here's the thing. I grew up with Pierce Brosnan, so I'm like, okay, this guy I get, people would want to fuck him. But when I see Sean Connery, I'm like, ugh.
Well, he was like Mr. Universe.
I know, but he's still disgusting.
Which must have been a different standard, because he wasn't really that muscular.
He was not hardly muscular. And he was also hairy as fucking, looked like Austin Powers, obviously.
That's where they
I clearly
got that
That's where they get that gag.
I know, that's what I'm pointing out. Like, it legit was just gnarly. Roger Moore to me, it just looks like Adam West, like, has that vibe to me.
I think Adam West was in consideration to be Bond at one point. They dabbled in casting Americans for a while.
Yeah. No, Timothy Dalton's up there, though. I think I might even like him better than Roger Moore. Pierce is going to be my favorite. Pierced. but you know,
Yeah, Pierce
Have either-
Brosnan's the best.
Have either of you seen the second Dalton film?
not yet.
Nope, not yet.
I actually may have when I was a kid once, but like,
There's so many of these that were on TV, and like I watched with my dad in the room with my dad, and I just didn't necessarily always watch start to
see,
finish.
I always watched it with mom. It's funny.
Yeah, or it'd just be like on TNT and or whatever else, like cable TV. Where
Yeah,
there's-
TBS used to do their like
Yeah, I remember
Bond,
big
yeah.
Bond marathon.
Oh,
2
yeah,
weeks
that's-
of
yeah.
Bond films just nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked Timothy Dalton. I think he's pretty good.
Timothy Dalton is suave and lethal as Super Agent James Bond in this turbocharged action adventure that pulls out
All the stops.
Yeah.
for excitement.
But if you ever wondered who you can blame on 9/11, I guess James Bond is it, because he set these people free.
He saved the Mujahideen.
He set them free.
So we should review Dr. No next time, since you love Connery so much. The big 60th anniversary this year. Come on.
Like I said, I don't hate the movies. I just don't necessarily like him.
Well, it's one of those things where it's just, he's the first. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I get
let's
it.
be real. Michael Keaton wouldn't get so much love if he wasn't the first.
I don't know.
Right?
That's debatable because
Michael Keaton's just a god to me in
But a
general.
lot of people
Yeah.
just, he's the first, so they just,
Yeah, but I still consider Adam West the first because they at least
So
had
do
the
I.
TV movie. So for
Even
me,
though there was the guy that did the racist version before that or whatever.
the black and white version
Yeah.
before then, yeah.
oh, the serials?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some shit out there, man. All right, well, make sure you like the James Bondage segments. Tell your friends about it. Watch along. Check this out. See if we got it right. See if we got it wrong.
And remember, go fuck yourself.
And